Gideon. Bible Heroes in Poetry. I Faye Column Fairly. Israel did evil in the Lord's sight. He handed them over to Midianites. Midian was over them for 7 years. The children of Israel suffered much fear. Because of the suffering, all the Israelites fled to the dens and the caves to hide. Amalekites, and more from the east, took from Israel the food, ox, and sheep. Outnumbered, deprived, left in pain, the Israelites wept to the Lord again. God sent a prophet for them to hear. The prophet stated the message clear. The God of Israel has delivered you from oppression and tyranny too. I've given you land and food to eat. And now my children have disobeyed me. Now Israelite Gideon, his name was called, was chosen by an angel to deliver them all. Gideon was confused. He asked God how, saying, I am the smallest in my house. The Lord said, Go in with all your might, and you will defeat the Midianites. Mighty man of valor, the angel said, with you, the enemy will all be dead. Gideon asked the angel for a sign that God had chosen him at this time. Gideon said, I pray that you wait. I'll bring a gift back to this place. Gideon brought meat, bread, and broth. The angel made fire come out of the rock. The fire consumed the bread and meat. The broth was poured out by his feet. Gideon was afraid that he would die, because he saw an angel eye to eye. Peace be with you, to die you will not. Gideon then built an altar unto God. Now some people during that reign worshipped a god, Baal his name. This fertility god, some people obeyed, even built an altar, so they could pray. God said to Gideon, his chosen man, destroy the altar on your father's land. It must be gone, nothing left around. The grove beside it must be cut down. Build ye another, on the same ground. For I am the only God, the great I am. Just as God told him, Gideon obeyed. Put a burnt offering on the altar he made. Many were angry about Gideon's deed. The Midianites with children of the east. The Amalekites joined them as well. They needed to defeat all of Israel. God told Gideon to gather some men. He put the enemy in Gideon's hands. Gideon was doubtful, and asked for a sign. Then Gideon asked yet a second time. The second sign gave Gideon might. Started gathering men that very night. He got some men, the weak and strong. God said, too many, send some home. Only 10,000 men remained. God said he must decrease again. God then made the decision himself. Until only 300 men were left. With 300 men God was pleased, and gave instructions for them to proceed, with their provisions and trumpets in hand. These men were ready to claim the land. The Lord told Gideon to go to their site, and listen to whispers of the Midianites. In the night, Gideon and servant went, and listened closely outside the tents. He heard of a dream the Midianite had. Then what it meant, Gideon was glad, knowing the enemy was afraid of him. Gave strength to Gideon, and to his men. In hand each man had a burning lamp, covered with a pitcher outside the camp. When they reached their spot they were told to break the pitcher, so the lamp would glow. In the right hand the trumpet, they blew. Whatever Gideon did, they should also do. With God on their side, they surely would win, and rescue Israel for God yet again. 300 lamps around them glowing. 300 trumpets around them blowing. Fear overtook the enemy all about, as they heard the trumpeters shout. The sword of the Lord, and Gideon too. Each on his fellow, ran his sword through. They were defeated, and ran from the camp, beaten by trumpets and 300 lamps.